race fans, welcome back to my little show about motorsports and stuff that I like to call In the Pits with me, StockCar Scott, here on the YouTube during the racing season when I feel like it. Well, with all of the editing I didn't have to do after the Northwest Super Late Model Series 125 at South Sound Speedway last week, because I did not get to go with our Dale Jr. Monte Carlo SS needing a big time transmission rebuild. Oh, I have had time to think about and write down some things I might do if for some unknown reason I was put in charge of making a few changes in NASCAR to try to stem the tide of lost viewership and dropping TV ratings and attendance. First off, NASCAR has lost most of the modern viewing audience, so they would do well to write off all of these man bun wearing, craft brew swilling, car hating, Uber riding, ear gauging, hair product using, tradition ignoring, phone absorbed, self-righteous, self-entitled, self-serving, yoga pants laden, left lane camping, Prius driving, bicycle commuting, hummus eating, soccer supporting, Snapchatting, rage dancing, binge watching, Netflix and chilling, Star Wars ruining, crap music listening, retail killing, Amazon Prime ordering, social media feuding, history misunderstanding, participation trophy receiving, disrespectful, word twisting, grammar abusing, globalist, new people. Anyway, and NASCAR's old fans have either died off or been run off. None of their drivers are racing anymore, and the gimmicks NASCAR has come up with to try to engineer excitement have alienated older fans even more. Granted, the 1 point per finishing spot was a good move by NASCAR to make the point system a little easier to understand for that mythical casual fan, but stages have only made championship points complicated once again for all race fans. So what do? Well, first, NASCAR needs to reconnect with the race fans on a local level by using two of their top 3 series to go out there to the regional tracks of America and cultivate a live racing connection with the local fans that forego watching NASCAR's TV product to attend live local racing with their friends and family. After NASCAR pulled the plug on the 4 regional elite touring late model series several years ago, local fans no longer had a local NASCAR driver to follow along with their favorite driver in the Cup Series. That is something that needs addressing. NASCAR could address this lack of connection with the local track attendee by using the Truck or Xfinity Series at a local level racetrack to bring fans back to all levels of stock car racing. Instead of having only 5,000 fans at an empty looking cookie cutter 1.5-mile speedway for an Xfinity race, why not have those 5,000 fans fill up a local short track like Evergreen or Wenatchee Valley Super Oval? Each tour stop like that would be a huge shot in the arm for the local racetrack economy and racing community. But what would NASCAR do to fill Saturday at the big races then? I will address that shortly. Let's see. And the local tracks could do their Xfinity Series or Camping World Truck Series dates up really big, like tracks like, you know, Phoenix and Talladega do when Monster Energy Cup Series comes in for the weekend. The truck date or an Xfinity date would really be great with the fans having the ability to attend a race and maybe watch, even get home in time to watch a tape delay a showing of the same race they just saw. And if NASCAR had qualifying and heat races for all of their divisions on one day and the feature race the next day, that would allow them to have 2-day shows with every level, which would allow for more interactive time between drivers and fans. Xfinity and trucks, of course, would still start out speed weeks together with the Cup in Daytona, but then the 3 series should separate, going on their own separate schedules and their own separate ways, with the Monster Cup guys going to the big tracks and the Xfinity and Camping World truck guys going to the local short tracks. Now, but what would NASCAR do to fill in those Saturdays at the big tracks with the 2 support divisions away running on the short tracks? Well, as I briefly touched on just a minute or two ago, all shows would become 2-day shows with qualifying followed by 2 half-field heat races, and each of those would be about a quarter of the length of the original main race would have been. And now it all happened on the first day. Then a shorter version by that quarter, by that 25%, for the feature race would happen on the next day. The obvious exception to this is the Daytona 500, which already has the Can-Am dual races built in. But it would apply to all the other races from then on. And I would also strongly suggest that, like the NHRA does, that NASCAR sells 2-day tickets because the stands will fill up on the first day, and they're going to be hungry, and they're going to be looking for shirts and caps to wear on the second day. Again, on day 1, Saturday in some cases it would be Friday, there'd be qualifying, and there seems to be no reason to change the knockout qualifying format. It works just fine. But then, after qualifying, the field would be separated into 2 heat race fields, much the same as at the Daytona 500 duels, with one being the inside row, one being the outside row. Then run the 2 heat races and line the feature up accordingly. Also, instead of these stage points that are being awarded now, there would be heat race points, and in the same way, only the top 10 would score points in each of those races. But you can only score 10 points in one race or the other. I would also award a point to the fastest qualifier, but only if they had completed their heat race would they get that point. You know, it would make being fast worth something. I haven't decided if drivers would earn a bonus point for the heat race win that would go towards the chase, because I'm not sure if there would be a chase. If I did keep it, races in said chase would still be the 2-day format with qualifying and heat races. And that, race fans, would apply to all of the races of the top 3 series of NASCAR. About a quarter of the feature, 25% or so, of each Cup, Xfinity, and truck race would be shifted to a first day where admission is needed during the event. Of course, any practice time should be on the day before the event, and there should be no charge for fans to come and watch all practices. All of that time, the track all of that time at the track for the drivers would mean more fan interaction time. It would give more of a feel of a 3-day stand in baseball where fans have more chances to see their heroes from their favorite sport on TV up close. And if I had my way, fans would be seeing Xfinity drivers and Camping World, or next year maybe Gander outdoor drivers, if you will, at the same local track where the fans would go to see their favorite area drivers run the rest of the season where they go there. This would help to cultivate new NASCAR fans among the established local race fans that just hate what's happened with NASCAR. What's happened? They just hate what's happened becoming NASCAR. Maybe even NASCAR could have a program like their NASCAR Next to get the local track stars some seat time in one of their Xfinity cars or trucks or something. It'd be a nice way to connect with the local track race fans. Okay, maybe not all of the truck and Xfinity shows would be 2-day shows. Some could probably fit in qualifying 2 heat races and a feature in 1 day at smaller tracks if that was necessary. But folks, big time NASCAR racing needs to get back to their roots. Also, NASCAR needs to revive the regional elite divisions. When there were 4 elite late model tours, regional NASCAR fans had local and regional drivers to follow and support in an area-wide tour that was economically feasible for fans to travel around and see their favorite local NASCAR drivers race at several different tracks each season. Oh, those were the days. If NASCAR brought back those regional tours, hopefully the younger fans could be brought back too. But the local teams would have to do their part by changing their late models over to something that looks more like the Camaros and the Mustangs that Cup will be using next year and Xfinity run now in NASCAR. Oh yeah, and that Daredevil car too. In fact, base all of the cars in the series, Monster Cup, Xfinity, K&N East and West, and ARCA that NASCAR now owns, and the hoped-for regional late model Tour Series cars should all be racing versions of 2-door sport coupes like Camaros and Mustangs, and maybe the Devil car's got one called a 8.6 Sports Coupe they could use, but all of the cars on the track should have current counterparts in the new car showrooms. Get back to win on Sunday, sell on Monday by actually having street versions of cars that are on the track, and brand recognition by the youngest fans will soon follow. Eventually, it will get to the point where young fans will get the connection and see race cars on the street wherever they see Camaros and Mustangs and the 8.6s and street cars on the track when they go to the races. Soon, all the Camaros and Mustangs in a kid's Hot Wheel and Matchbox collection will get numbers sharpied onto the tops and sides. And this brings me to another suggestion that I have for NASCAR to attract younger fans to the sport that I love so much. Put some toy race cars in the hands of children by making them more affordable. These things are up to $5 a piece in the discount stores, and can be as much as $6-7 a piece in other stores. How many elementary school kids do you know that have a spare $80 to fill out a full field of their imaginary NASCAR races there. Not so many. So NASCAR, in partnership with a toy maker, needs to get cars for kids, and I'm not talking about KARS, cars for kids. They need to get cars into the hands of young race fans. Maybe they just need to be the kind with the blackout windows. I've got this old one that I got in a cereal box, you know, and I've got another one with the blackout windows, and if you could see, it says 2 for $1, 69 cents a piece, 2 for $1. It can be made cheaply where kids can play with them, and you know, this is what they need to do. Heck, Hot Wheel cars are usually less than $1 a piece, so NASCAR needs to cut some deals with some sponsors to get their logos on little race cars and get those race cars into little race fans' hands for under $2 each. So they can recreate the races on the oval rug on the floor there in front of the TV as they make their parents watch the races there on the weekend. And then when that young race fan sees during the NASCAR races on TV that there will be a NASCAR race in their area, they are going to want to make their parents take them to see those cars that are loud and go fast every bit as much as they're going to want to go see Disney on Ice or something like that. Granted, I am very fond of my collection of highly detailed little NASCAR race cars, and I would still collect the more expensive cars because of how nice the detailing is on those die casts. But there needs to be cheaper little cars that young race fans can crash into each other and still look familiar look similar to the cars that they see going around the track on TV, and still be inexpensive enough to have a realistic car count, which unfortunately is becoming easier because sometimes even NASCAR Monster Cup can't fill 40 cars anymore at some tracks. And that brings us back to the races at the tracks. They're too long, and it's not just me saying it. The races are just too long. I think the heat races will fix that because it is the same amount of laps being raced by a team, just spread out over the 2 days of the weekend. But actually, it's more laps of Monster Energy Cup racing for the fan to see over the same weekend. Plus, race fans get to see their favorites in 2 races over the 2 days. And with the feature race being 25% shorter, the race weekend is over before fatigue sets in on the younger race fans that have been out in the sunshine all day. It also puts the race in a shorter TV broadcast block for home viewing, where distractions are more likely, giving home viewers a better chance of not missing all the good parts. But not only do races need to be shorter, and please don't think that I've gone mad, but there needs to be less Monster Energy Cup races each season, because sometimes less is more. But in the same move, I would want more K&N East and West races to better connect with the local fans at the regional level. Say about 20 K&N races on each side of the country, and then maybe a series of East-West playoff races at the end of the season down the middle of the country. Well, that would be great because it would feature local drivers on a national stage. And yes, I said less Monster Energy Cup races. 30 sounds like a good number. If I kept the chase, the season would be broken down to 20 pre-chase race weekends and 10 chase race weekends. That would be, or could be, 3 race weekends a month for 10 months. And that would open one weekend each month, and that could give teams more time off during the season and give drivers time to race in the other series to help to promote all of the NASCAR divisions and local NASCAR sanctioned tracks. Also, this promotional time will help fans get closer to the drivers that they watch on television. I think that Kevin Happy Harvick would agree with me and gladly get involved with the local track promotion like he did earlier this season at Kern County Raceway. And what tracks would I cut from the schedule to get down to 30 events? Well, none of the short tracks, I can assure you. And Daytona and Talladega would retain 2 races per year. That's a given. But underperforming mile-and-a-half tracks would have to go. 1 race at Pocono each year would be plenty. And I would not miss Loudon or Indy if those were cut from the schedule. But that's just me, folks. Okay, race fans, those are some of the things I might do if NASCAR asked me to try and reverse the decline in attendance and TV ratings. Not all the things I might do, mind you, but all the things I could cram into my 23-minute self-imposed time frame of my little show about motorsports and stuff I like to call In the Pits with me, StockCar Scott. Sorry I didn't cover any local racing on this show, but I didn't go to any local racing this past weekend. Like I said, Dale Jr. is in the shop. But hopefully we will be attending the NASCAR Northwest Elite Champions reunion at Evergreen Speedway Saturday night in the rental car, because it isn't as far as South Sound Speedway, not that far away, where I missed the big Northwest Super Late Model Series 125 last weekend. That was won by the reigning champion Brittany Zamora. Congratulations to Brittany on her big win. I wish I could have been there, but as I have said before on other shows, if you don't want to miss out, you got to go to the racetrack. And that's where I hope to be this weekend. So thank you for watching, race fans. I really appreciate the 23 minutes or so you spend in viewing my little show. Special thanks go out to Bob Dees for the idea of this episode. Thanks again. Thanks again, race fans, and be sure to catch the next episode I produce of In the Pits with me, StockCar Scott, here on the YouTube, when I feel like it, because all races matter. But until then, TTFN.